All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be inspired by the phenomenal force in the world that we call Terry Yaffe. She's got 20 years of experience as a certified professional business, communications, and executive coach. Terry Yaffe is a true powerhouse in the empowering world of leadership. As an executive coach, she has an exceptional ability to transform relationships, empower her clients to embrace change, break through self-imposed barriers, and conquer challenges, both personal and professional. Get ready to elevate your mindset, amplify your talents, and soar to new heights with the brilliant, the wonderful, the beautiful Terry Yaffe. Terry, thanks for joining me today.
Oh my God. I don't know what I can say after that. That introduction was amazing. Thank you so much, Jared. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here.
Well, an honor to have you. Honor to have you on the show with somebody of your stature, status, and somebody who has been helping people for a lot of time. I want to start something off really easy for you. How do you navigate success with confidence? Let's get started there.
My idea of success, and I've owned it, if you will, because success used to look like having money, making money. That was, first of all, my idea of what success was. And I think for a lot of people, they build their confidence by what the outer world thinks of them. I've seen that so many times with clients, that they feel valuable and confident at work if they work 24 hours a day. That shows they're dedicated, they're a superstar, a rock star. And I learned the hard way that confidence and success has to come from within. Getting it from the outer world is fine. Nothing wrong with that. We all love to be acknowledged. However, it can't be how we identify ourselves.
That's huge. And you talked about confidence, right? Like, so to get that confidence, don't you need to get the wins? Don't you need to get the sales, get the money? How do you get confidence to create that correct identity, as you say?
Yes, I think that is definitely part of it. Definitely. But if that's all it is, that you just go after the wins and the wins and the wins, it's like, if only I got that big contract, it'll be great. That's all I want. Get the contract. Oh, if only. And I was in sales. I understand. Again, you have to feel successful within yourself, because we fail or we meet challenges. And if you're looking in the outer world and one or two of those challenges, I hate the word failure, challenges come along and you don't have a foundation within you, you crumble. And then you go back to square one. So, what I work with clients on is there is an outer and there is an inner, and one reflects the other. If your outer world isn't working, you have to look within and say, okay, what am I creating? So we're kind of a mirror, the outer and the inner. And I do work with clients about what's going on within themselves. Turn your eyes inward. Let's look at that. I mean, my philosophy, might not be everyone's, is as a coach, as a whatever, if you try to just go to the goals, right? People that they are not meeting their goals, that they're not somehow missing the mark. And then you go, oh, let's look at your goals. What do you want? And that's great. But if you don't get to why they didn't reach their goals or how they missed the mark or what happened,
Mhm.
it's like quicksand.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a slippery slope where those goals can
Right.
drive us, but they can also tear away our confidence, and that affects our identity. You talked about looking at within. Where do you take people down that path? Because that's going down a scary when you start taking a high achiever and a business person, and you have them start looking at themselves in the mirror. What are some challenges that you face with people trying to deal with that?
I spent many years in analysis. So I had to turn my eyes inward. It was difficult. However, what I learned about the human mind, and that's what we're dealing with, is it's all the same. Mine is no different than yours. The difference is how the enactments, really. As one client said, I hold the mirror up and I don't let it down until they start looking at what's going on. And yes, they'll dance around it. And they're great at tap dancing and shoe shuffling and all of that. But they came to be coached. And I'm tough. My job, as I see it, for me, it's my philosophy, is if you want a coach that's going to yes you and I'm the wrong person. If you want somebody that's going to kick your ass so you get to where you go, I'm the right person. And you have to be willing to get your ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
Because my job as a coach, I took an oath, I did several certifications, is to help somebody, not to smooth things over. And I make them feel great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm your partner. And if that's what you're signing up for, that's what you get. And we do get to looking at what's there, what's stopping you from getting to where you want to go. Unless, you're in the food business, you want to become a rocket scientist. Well, that's not going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've had no complaints, if you will.
What you said you had to be kind of an ass kicker with people and tell them the truth, because as a coach, that's what you're supposed to do, and that's your oath. What are some of those things that you've had to come face to face with people and push on them? Give our viewers and listeners some examples of some of those roadblocks, and is it ego? Is it mindset? What are some of those things you've had to really press
Theirs
into?
or mine? Their egos? Yeah. The ego, or the gremlin, or whatever you want to call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has many names, is there to protect us. That's its job. From when we were small, it's there to protect us and not let us step out of our comfort zone. And we grow up, if you haven't worked on yourself, believing it. That's the job. It doesn't know that we've grown up, that we can handle disappointments and challenges and struggles. So it's not easy to work with a client, but they have to be willing to at least step out of that comfort zone into the zone of, ugh, uh, I'm going to swallow that pill and do it, because otherwise I'm going to be stuck. And what's their objective? I've had clients. I had a client that worked for a very big company, and she did an amazing job on her work. Amazing. But they called her on the carpet because of how she interacted with her team and the people around her. And they were going to let her go, not for her work, but for who she showed up as. And what we had to do was really look at, how was she showing up? What was stopping her from showing up as a human being and caring? She thought that was the face she had to put on to go to work.
It seems like when you can get that deeper perspective and awareness of what's inside, that can open up so many doors in many facets of your life. You have talked about living with uncertainty can actually make you stronger. How do you articulate that?
Well, I did write a blog called Dancing on Shifting Sands. And there is a phrase called, and especially today, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And you have to be able to pivot at any moment and have a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is you just going along. You haven't opened up your lens. You just, this is it, this is it. And there are so many roadblocks. There is no certainty any longer. There's chaos, there's craziness, especially today. And, before the pandemic, there was a pattern, there was a plan. The pandemic upset everything. And what it did, a lot of people were working from home. And they said, wow, I like this. They got the work done. They were at home. They were able to be with family. And there were a lot of realizations. The Great Resignation came along. People decided they don't need to be put in toxic environments. They don't need to have leaders and bosses that made them wrong and made them feel less than who they should have been. So you have to be able to pivot. If you're going along and there's a detour and you say, oh, I'm not, what is this? I can't do that. And you try to plow through the detour instead of saying, wait a second, maybe there's another route. You have to be adaptable. You have to be able to pivot at any given moment. And when you have to do that, you have to be somewhat sure of who you are. It's very hard to pivot when you've been in a comfort zone. You don't have the tools.
I was just listening to something this morning, and it was talking about if you want to grow, you better get really, really good at being uncomfortable, because that they don't follow the two. And for me, that's been really interesting because, we have learned that, like, the more uncomfortable you are, the more difficult, air quotes, life can be. There's greater room and capacity to grow and expand. Have you seen that with your clients in your life?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, some come to me with a fixed mindset, although somewhere inside of them, they know they need help. Some voice, right? The voice of reason overrides the ego or the gremlin or the saboteur. And it's just there. Its only purpose is to protect. That's it.
Yeah, it seems like if we can get outside of that rational brain, that ego, that fixed mindset, so to speak, I think in my opinion, I feel like more people live in that space, in that world, than don't. And it seems like if you can kind of get their minds outside of the three-dimensional world that we live in, the world really starts to open up, right?
Yes, it does. And I studied Buddhism and meditation for many years. So that's a whole different world of being detached, right?
Yeah, I hear you. I love that. Say, I don't want to don't speculate into this question, but talk to people who are maybe a little older in life that want to try something new. Maybe they're middle aged. Maybe I'm in my mid 40s. I'm hellaciously middle aged, and I see a lot of people in my shoes saying that like they almost feel like the best is over. I know you don't believe that, but speak to some people who are maybe in their, my age and above, that really feel like life is just kind of, it is what it is, and that's what I have to take.
This is my sweet spot. If you didn't know, I am north of 70.
Good for you. I love it.
And
you ain't slowing down one bit, are you?
Not at all. And this is where, and of course, my passion is creating change. I'm a coach. I'm a podcaster. I'm now getting on the speaking stage. Ageism doesn't exist unless it's in your head. You can live your life. If you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, I became a coach later in life, and I've been doing it for 20 years. You don't have to look at yourself and say, I'm 50 or I'm 60. Oh, well, it's time to get the gold watch, so to speak, to go off into the sunset. If you've got dreams, if you've got desires, put age aside. Look at what's your passion? What have you thought about but kept it hidden? Because, oh, well, I'll never do that. And just go for it. Who cares? You'll feel vulnerable. Who cares? You'll feel, maybe you'll be challenged. Maybe you'll, a word I don't like, fail. So what? Who are you going to listen to? It's the voice in your head that is stopping you from becoming everything you want to do. I had a gentleman who was in his 50s, and he got let go from a job. And we worked on, he got a new one, and he felt very out of place and out of sorts. And we looked at how he could engage, embrace, and grow in a new situation where he was at a company for many years. That's where detachment comes in, right? Where you go out there and you do what you do. I'm an example. That's my superpower. Life experience, wisdom. Somebody older brings that to the world. How are you packaging it? How do you want to show up? What dream do you have that you've left on the cutting room floor, so to speak.
Mm.
And you can revise it, revisit it. Here I am, a very perfect example of I've been a coach. I started podcasting 2.5 years ago. I'm in the top 2% globally of all podcasts. And now I have an opportunity to get on a stage. That's my next foray. And who knows what my next act will be. I'm following my soul.
I love that. I love that because you said several things. I hear you say you get a choice. You get to choose how you want to show up, and you don't have to listen to your ego, and you certainly don't have to listen to society, because with all due respect, you're not really acting your age. People don't start new things, and certainly don't try to get on a speaking stage at just north of 70, as you say. Let me ask you a question. How do you show up? Like, what's your mindset when you wake up? What's your attitude? What do you say to yourself when you wake up each day?
Thank goodness I'm still alive.
That's a good start.
Just, I always show up at my best, even if I sometimes don't feel my best. I went to a wedding. My granddaughter got married this past weekend. And the event coordinator, who I, met her only a few times during the weekend. At the end of the weekend, she came up to me and said, "You are so beautiful." Here's an older person. She said, "You are so magnificent and so beautiful, and you are so kind." Somebody I took the kindness part more than I did the other. And my energy, I just show up in my energy, which is enormous. And I'm not bragging, by the way, here. Everyone, I'm no different. I'm an ordinary person that didn't have a great start in life. I could barely figure out how to navigate crossing the street. I stuttered. I had no confidence. I was a mess. And to be able to come to this juncture, there wasn't a magic wand. I didn't have a silver spoon. My sheer will to become who I envisioned myself to become throughout the years got me here. And I'm not unique. If you have a dream, if you have a desire, if you can see a picture of who you could be, and you're willing to go through whatever it takes, you will get there. The universe will open for you.
I love that. I hear you saying just showing up and like really knowing what you want. And it seems like the divine then comes into play and shows you, just like you said. And I think that's where a lot of people really get hung up, is that they want to know all the answers. They don't really truly believe that they can do it, even though that they can, and they have that burning desire. And that's kind of what separates what I have seen from, the men from the boys, so to speak, which is, a cliche, but like that really, that the people who are going after it, that they understand that, and they're taking bold divine action daily to get what they want. And it seems like when you do that, regardless of your age, you can do big things and shine a lot of light in this world.
That's my goal. That's my narrative, to shine a light on people that feel they have to give up. You don't have to. There's so much more.
Yeah. Amen. Terry, I want to start landing this plane here in the next couple of minutes. You mentioned that you've got a podcast. Talk about that for just a little bit. What's the name of the podcast? Where can people find it?
It's called Extraordinary Work: Conversations About Creating Change. I'm fortunate enough to interview people that have created change in their corner of the world. It's been a dream of mine for a long time. And again, I thought about it, I wanted it, and the universe opened. And that's how I got to have a podcast. Please, you can listen on my website, which is trycoaching.com. I'm redoing it. It's on Apple. And if you like what you hear, I've just had Dylan Smith on. I have so many amazing guests that have really been doing extraordinary work in their corner of the world. And I'm very proud of it. And it just keeps going and getting better. And I started that 2.5 years ago, not knowing.
There's a lot of people out there who are a half your age that are contemplating doing the things that you are doing right now and are too afraid or don't believe it. And so I hope that people listen to this and say, you know what, I don't want to do it someday. I want to do it now. And that's what I hear you doing. So you're an inspiration as a whole, not just at your age, but as a whole, you're an inspiration. So I appreciate that. The website is Try Coaching. That's trycoaching.com. Do I have that right?
Yeah, you do.
I love it.
And as I said, it's being redone, but you can go there and it's a lot of wording, but you can see all about me and who I am. And I would love to have a conversation with you and see if perhaps you're in a place where you want to make changes, but you're stuck.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Well, Terry, let me tell you, it was a pleasure meeting you a couple of months ago. It's a pleasure having you on the show. And I am so excited for you and your journey. I'm glad our movies cross paths. And I want to see you on the speaking tour someday up on stage.
For sure. That'll happen.
I love it. Terry, thanks for joining me today.